Your last question, number 9, disabilities. Again, not a lot of experience. When I was at Evanston, we did have a girl that was deaf that I had to wear a microphone for and had to be careful not to whistle. It drove her crazy. But we worked that out pretty nicely. Very bright kid. Moved her on up to honors from regulars. You need to pay attention to the layout of the classroom, both in time and space. There has to be room for wheelchairs to go through. If there's a special computer equipment, there has to be room for that. If they have an assistant that comes with them, you need to make room for that as well. You have to make room in time. You need to give them more time to get to class. You need to remember that they need time to get together to leave class. So for physical disabilities, pay attention to the actual space and time that you're working with. We had an interesting case like that. We had a couple students in wheelchairs that had to stay out in the cold for over a half hour because there was no one to get the door for them. This led to a protest the students organized. It was very nice. They had a no-door day where no one, staff or student, was allowed to open doors. So, you know, of course we would open the doors for the classrooms, but then we would close doors when class started. So we had to make sure that we were on time and we got places so that we didn't get stuck behind a door and a class was stuck without a teacher. It was very informative, I think a very useful exercise. Mental disabilities, trickier to deal with. Again, I had some experience from my little boy Stevie's great disability that put me in contact in general with the disability community there in Illinois. I got to meet lots of parents, lots of kids, looking at some of the problems they had, and so I had some sensitivity for that. I am in fact a very slow learner myself. So I really hate timed tests. I really hate for students to have to rush. I don't think you get their best. I don't think you really get good feedback on where they are. So I try and pay a lot of attention to sufficient time for everybody. And of course with a kid with some disabilities, sometimes that's a very necessary thing. At Lincoln we had a very mixed class. Oftentimes we had classes of 40 or more students, and we had at least 3 layers. We had kids who were really pretty quick. We had a regular sort of a student, and then we had some students who were slow or had disability, especially language problems in our particular school. And it was very difficult to teach to those 3 layers. If you go too slow, the kids in front, which is where the brighter kids usually handle themselves, they get bored and you can get problems there. If you go too quick, you leave the guys in the back behind. So you have to be varied. You have to have extra that the really quick guys can be doing to occupy their time. You have to make sure you spend enough time to try and address those in back. This has uniformly been my problem. When I was at Evanston, I was always saying, we're not ready to test, they're not ready, they're not ready. And the other teachers have to say, well, we've got to move on, we've just got to move on. And I just hate to give up on any students. So I always had to be talked into, well, we just got to test and move on. You got to pay attention again to things like the IEP. What kind of special things do you need? Talk to counselors and parents. Often meetings are good. And then you need to design to the strength of any particular student that you have. So disabilities can be difficult, but if people hang together, if good diagnosis is done, then those all can be addressed. Thank you. I guess that's the end of my 9 questions. I hope you will consider me. If you do, you will get my best, you will get all my passion, and I'll be good for your faculty and I'll be good for your students. Thanks for your time.